Good day and welcome to this talk about cybersecurity. Today we have with us Tshego Tshifhango and Robyn Goosen. They're both senior consultants at Mobius Consulting. So welcome to both of you and thank you for your time. So today Tshego and Robyn are going to talk to us about different approaches and strategies organizations take in approaching cybersecurity, starting out with getting the fundamentals right and getting the basics right, and then maturing it to move on to more advanced techniques within the organization to mature their cybersecurity. So I think with that, I'm going to start out with Robyn, who's going to talk to us about her experience and some of her ideas about getting the fundamentals right in cybersecurity. So Robyn, what are some of the things in your experience and from our client side that you've seen that organizations are overlooking and not getting right in getting the fundamentals right?
Organizations often don't look at their organization as a whole. They don't look at their risks, they don't look where they're exposed, and that's such a critical aspect to understanding your cyber risk is to take a risk-based approach. Look at your domains, whether it be access governance or if it's third parties. How risky are those divisions for you? Have we looked at it? Have we done a deep dive and analysis to understand where you are most exposed? And taking that approach, then following the steps that you need. There are lots of frameworks out there, for example, NIST. It will give you a great idea of what you need to implement as an organization, but what it can give you is coverage in terms of which areas to start focusing on. How do you look in those areas? If you are exposed, tackle those most risk areas first and then tackle other areas after that.
So thank you, Robyn. There's some good ideas and strategies around getting going. You spoke about large organizations. So as we know, and especially within the financial services market, organizations are very complex and they made up a lot of sub-organizations and business units. So how do they approach cybersecurity? Because in many cases, those divisions and business units are autonomous and they make their own decisions and their own budgets. So how do these large organizations get it right with a centralized view of cybersecurity?
So what large organizations are doing, which is really great, is the trend is to create a cyber framework, but it's inclusive of that specific industry. So taking your controls that we all know, identity and access governance, and then adding in industry-specific frameworks, and then branching that out to all of the subsidiaries or branches, ensuring that all of them are complying with the same set of controls, and then monitoring them thereafter. So if they are implementing something like identity and access governance, how are they monitoring the movers, the goers, people coming into their organization? Are they complying with those controls? And then what is the measurement of that afterwards? Are we looking at them on a continuous maintenance basis so that all of the organizations are constantly being monitored?
So what I'm understanding or hearing is that sort of holistic approach and using it to reduce risk across the entire organization landscape. And just on the risk reduction, what are the three biggest changes that organizations should start with in order to start moving towards that risk reduction strategy, in your experience?
Well, the most important key controls that an organization should implement is, for example, one of them would be training and awareness for your employees. It is really important for them to understand the frameworks of cybersecurity ahead of the time so that they know what to look out for. Prevention is definitely better than recovery in this instance, so the more awareness we have over the topic, the better it will be for our whole organization. Secondly, understand your organizational risk. What keeps you up at night? Which is the biggest areas of your risk specifically? And then lastly, know your organization's assets, what is your data storages, and understand your organization on that level to ensure that you are correctly keeping them safe.
Okay, thank you very much, Robyn. I'd like to shift to Tshego now, who's going to talk to us a little bit more about more advanced cybersecurity capabilities and process and procedures within the organization. So Tshego, once an organization has bedded down the fundamentals and got those basics right, what in your opinion would you say organizations need to work on in order to mature their security to the next level?
So, Ray, I think once you have your fundamentals bedded down, it's quite important to actually maintain your controls and ensure that your security posture remains healthy. This we can do by running continuous assessments and tests in our environment, as well as making sure that we test beyond what is required for compliance purposes. In doing so, we can actually highlight any blind spots that we may have missed while assessing specifically for compliance, right? So once we've actually gained buy-in and confidence from leadership, this actually enables the security teams to explore more novel cybersecurity trends and advanced techniques and capabilities that are out there in the market.
So that's interesting, Tshego. You talked about some of those more advanced capabilities around cybersecurity. In your experience and within our client base, what are some of those projects that you're involved in around those advanced capabilities?
So some of the more interesting initiatives that I'm actually working on in my clients are DevSecOps, where we're basically working on embedding security in the DevOps pipeline. We also have other initiatives such as data leakage prevention, as well as threat management. And what we're trying to do is basically assist our clients in developing a threat management program that's fit for purpose in their organization.
Okay, so those sound like very interesting and exciting initiatives. And you did mention novel initiatives. So in your experience, what are some of the practical ways organizations can start getting going with those novel initiatives?
So Ray, I think the most important thing is actually identifying practical use cases. So there's no point in actually trying to work on something that doesn't actually fit within your organization and in your client space. So making it practical and fit for use in that particular organization is definitely the first step. Once a practical use case has actually been identified, I think the next step is actually identifying the value it actually brings in the organization. And then finally, making sure that whatever the project or the initiative actually is, fits into the current structure of the organization and doesn't actually have a negative impact on the organizational operations. And more specifically in these type of novel initiatives where once you actually have leadership buy-in and you have their support, it actually helps in expediting the adoption rate of whatever that initiative is. Other things that are actually quite important in assisting with the success rate of whatever initiative you're working on is developing work forums. So these are actually quite important in bringing in your employees or everyone else in the organization so that they feel like they are part of the change that's being implemented as opposed to having the change imposed on them.
Thank you, Tshego. That was very insightful. And thank you to you as well, Robyn, for your contribution and understanding of getting the fundamentals right. Thank you very much for listening to our talk today. If you'd like to get in contact with us to learn more about how we can help you with either getting the cybersecurity fundamentals right or in implementing some of the more advanced cybersecurity capabilities, you can go to our website or follow us on LinkedIn.